Dude. Today I'm actually going to talk about a recent experience of mine that I wasn't sure whether I should talk about it or not, but then I was like, fuck it, you know what, I'm going to talk about it because I want this channel not just to be about fitness and festivals and other things. So this is a story of how a few days ago I took magic mushrooms on a Thursday afternoon and almost died. I just want to point out that this whole story is completely fictional. Everything in it is fictional because obviously magic mushrooms are illegal. I would never do that. I would never pick them because they are classed as drugs and that is breaking the law. So all of this is purely a figment of my imagination. I do not promote or condone the use of any kind of drugs. Day started off like any other Thursday afternoon. Me and Alex were at home. Alex had taken a load of pre-workout and for some reason we had some magic mushrooms in our kitchen. Fictional story. I don't really know what was going through our heads, but he thought it would be a good idea to take a microdose of these mushrooms to chill him out. We had them anyway. We were thinking about doing a video on them at some point and we wanted to take them just because there is numerous benefits that can be had. And I'm a believer in trying pretty much everything once. And it's something that I always wanted to do properly, go into a good environment, take some magic mushrooms with my friends and then basically see what happened, document the experience and blah, 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 blah. Alex took a small amount of mushrooms in the kitchen that we had, not enough to make him like trip or do anything bad really. And me being me, thought it would be a really funny idea to peer pressure him into taking more. So I got my Instagram story up and just basically shoved some in his mouth and some reason he ate them. At this point I was like, dude, that is probably gonna make you trip for like the next 6 hours or something. You're probably gonna be tripping. And he was like, bro, I'm worried, I'm anxious, like I don't wanna, why the fuck did I do that? I don't wanna do this. And he's like, can you do it with me? And I was like, fuck it. So we decided to film the magic mushroom video then and there. I weighed out 2 grams of magic mushrooms, which is a fairly modest dose. It's not a big dose, it's not a small dose, it's just like a modest dose of magic mushrooms. And then I did the same for Alex, but with 1 gram instead of 2 because he'd probably already taken about 1 gram. So right, our plan was about 3:30, we're gonna take some magic mushrooms and then maybe have like some giggles, hallucinate for like a couple of hours and then be completely fine come the evening and just like get on with our day, maybe do a bit of work, whatever. Contrary to belief, I do not get on it, like I do not get fucked up that often at all. I'm very, very, very sensible. And that means that my tolerance of things, like alcohol, absolutely anything, is very low. So I get fucked up like very, very easily. Took these magic mushrooms, sat down on the sofa, started filming the video, wearing our dreadlocks, in character. About half an hour went by and things started to get a little bit weird.
Currently Alex's skin colour is like going like saturated and desaturated. My arms and legs I feel like quite numb and tingly.
No. Hey.
As time progresses, things start to get weirder and weirder and weirder. So it gets to a point where it feels like we're just sinking into the sofa. And I start to get these warm and fuzzy feelings inside me. My arms and legs are tingling. It feels like almost like a non-sexual orgasm to a point where it feels like really, really good. Music sounds great. I feel warm and fuzzy inside. That's the only way to describe it, like just absolute bliss. My perception of everything, that's the best way to describe it, had just completely flipped and I was like hyper positively sensitized to absolutely everything. Magic mushrooms, psilocybin affects serotonin, associated with things to do with pleasure. So everything just felt fucking great and my perception on things was very, very, very different. Then when I was wondering, I started to get these visuals and I was looking at Alex across the room and all of a sudden his skin just like becomes the same color as the wall. Like someone's taken a saturation picker on Photoshop and just gone poof, and just taken the color out of him. And I was like, bro, you're like gray. This is really weird. And at this point, we just thought it was fucking hilarious. Alex is sat there and he's like, fuck dude, your fucking skin color, dude. So it starts happening to him as well. And we're just absolutely cracking up about this. And then things keep on building and building and building. So the next stage after this like small little visual hallucinations is Alex's head starts to become like massive. And it's not like you're looking around and everything is all trippy and hallucinating at first, but if you focus on something for for a while. So if you stare at something, it starts to warp and starts to change shape and shift. So I was looking at Alex, and suddenly his fucking head just becomes like Jimmy Neutron, like huge, like probably like this big. And that was the funniest thing in the world as well. Both there cracking up, just laughing at absolutely everything. And then it starts to get more and more and more and more and more intense. We get to a point where we are incapable of like getting up and walking around. We are incapable of, I could not go outside, I could not have a conversation. The hallucinations started to get so intense. The room was breathing. So it sounds weird as fuck. And it sounds quite scary, but it wasn't. It was actually quite cool. It got to a point where we were just lying on the sofa in silence, just in our own thoughts. We didn't want to speak. It wasn't really funny anymore. It was fucking intense. So we're just lying there, like looking at things and being absolutely amazed of like the pure beauty of the world. And you close your eyes and you'd see all these crazy like geometric patterns. It's really weird because what started happening next was I was lying on the sofa looking outside, and I was looking up at this plant that we have in the corner of our room, and you focus on it and it all started warping and moving, and it's almost like someone had got a colour picker again on Photoshop, and rather than desaturating it, they just got a colour picker and just whacked up the vibrance and saturation to like 100%. Like the greens were the most vibrant, vivid greens I've ever seen in my entire life on the leaves. The sky was like the bluest I've ever seen it. A few hours went by and it built to a point where we were unable to speak. We were unable to have a conversation with each other. And it was almost like time was categorized into segments or chapters. So if you try and have a conversation, you might be able to get a few back and forth words with each other, and then the conversation just ends, or it goes into the next chapter, like you forgot what you were talking about, and then you go back into your own head or back into silence. So there was no way we were having a conversation. And up until this point, we're about 3 hours in, and we were enjoying it. It was good, but it started to get freaking intense, mate. Basically, I began to lose all perception of time. So I couldn't tell the difference between 10 seconds and 10 hours. But that didn't matter. Like, I didn't mind. I was content. I'd sit there with my eyes closed and see all these geometric patterns and all these geometric shapes. And then eventually I'd go like into an absolute fucking journey in my own head, like an absolute journey in my mind. I'd have these really vivid flashbacks about things, these really vivid memories. I don't want to say, psilocybin is used to treat things like anxiety and depression, and before I go on, also PTSD and other things. Before I go on, I want to say that I looked heavily into it in the past. Like, I couldn't explain to you the exact science of how it works, but in short, psilocybin works by connecting regions of the brain, or improving the network of the brain, connecting regions or parts of the brain that weren't previously connected. So you form all of these new connections to different memories, and you can link different ideas, and it's why a lot of film directors and artists have been known to take magic mushrooms and stuff like that, because it makes them more creative. But it also means that you can, like, past traumas come up, and it's currently being used into research for treating depression and PTSD and other things, and it's been shown to completely wipe out people's depression. But yeah, if you follow me for a while, you'll know that the whole ex-girlfriend situation that I had like a while back, there's a video on it on my channel. And I didn't really, obviously I knew that it fucked me up, but I didn't quite realise to what extent it had fucked me up, because when I was sat there, like, I was having some freaking vivid flashbacks with her, and like, it was intense, man. Like, I think I'm definitely traumatized by the experience, and I don't just what emotionally that did to me, because I'd never had anything like that before. And me and Alex had these dreadlocks on, and there's a point where Alex took him off, and I was looking at him, and his forehead, like, he just looked wrong, and I couldn't work out what it was. I said to him, like, Alex, put those on! Put those on, your head looks weird. Like, at the top of my lungs, like, shouted, like, telling him to put them on. Like, literally, like, fucking screamed it at him with, like, pure rage whilst I'm just sat there. I told him to do it now, like an absolute dickhead. And then I was like, whoa, what the fuck just happened, kind of thing. And I was like, bro, did I just shout at you? Because he put the dreadlocks back on, and he was like, no, you just, you didn't say anything. And I was there like, holy shit, I was having like a flashback of a time that I was in Bali, and my ex did magic mushrooms. I didn't do them on the beach, and she kept telling me to, like, stop looking a certain way, because it was like she didn't like it. In my head, I hallucinated that I was screaming at Alex about putting these dreadlocks on, and then consequently that reminded me of the time that my ex shouted at me or gave me shit about looking a certain way. And I was, at the time, I was like, it wasn't good. Like, I was in a fucking bad relationship. She had some big shit going on. It was an abusive relationship. Only for a few months though. Like I said, there's absolutely no beef between me and her. I speak to her quite a bit and we're pretty good friends now. It brought on some really intense, vivid memories, and it made me realise that how I was spoken to in the past, and it kind of dawned on me that you shouldn't treat people the way other people have treated you. Obviously, we're all products of our environment. I had this weird revelation that you shouldn't treat people the way that you've been treated in the past, and you should really, really be careful not to do that. And then I had all these like crazy, vivid, I don't exactly remember all of them, but all these like crazy, vivid, mad fucking flashbacks, and it got to a point where I cried, man. It wasn't like resentment, I didn't feel any pain, I didn't feel like any anguish or anything, but it was just like pure like raw emotion that I don't really feel very often. I'm quite a cold-hearted bastard. Went on this absolutely crazy journey full of like revelations and emotions. I remember looking outside, and last thing I knew, it was sunny outside, it was daytime, and it was basically getting dark. In the room it was fucking pitch black because the lights weren't on, and we'd just been sat there like absolute crackheads in a room listening to music. Got to this point where me and Alex both kind of seemed to snap out of this like blissful state all at the same time, and then it was like, okay, kind of coming to an end. But whilst our minds wanted it to come to an end, it continued and kept on going. And I was like, Alex, do you want to turn the light on, dude? And he was like, yeah. He got up, goes to turn the light on, and then this is where things started to rapidly deteriorate. Alex gets up and he starts saying things like, oh bro, I need to work, like I need to work, I haven't done enough today, like I haven't done anything, I've got so much work I'm behind on, bro. Like starts like stressing out and like pacing around. And I'm just sat there like, mate, don't start putting this shit in my head. I didn't say this, but I'm just there thinking like, good vibes, positive thoughts. I'm just like, bro, it's fine, just go with the flow. It'll end when it ends. Enjoy it, sit down, relax, and just like have a good time, kick back. There's no deadlines to meet, these are all made up in your head. And he was like, all right, cool. So he sat down, but he had planted the seed of doubt in my mind. He had planted the seed of negativity in my mind. And then I started to have these negative thoughts, man. Like, it's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock at this point, and we were still tripping. Like, I was still hallucinating hard. Alex looked like he's kind of trying to like sober up, and like he looked like he is okay and like ready to do work, because he started saying about how he's going to do work and all this stuff. I slowly started to get this feeling of like dread and anxiety, and I don't know what it is, negative emotions build up in me. And I was like, okay, what happens if this doesn't stop? What happens if Alex goes off and does work and leaves me and blah blah blah? And I was like, fuck it, dude, should we just watch some Netflix? So I try and like shut the box on these horrible negative emotions that are coming in, try and ignore them, and we put on Rick and Morty. Start watching Rick and Morty, cartoon, super fucking weird as it is anyway. And I just remember like Rick kept dying in it, and I was like, all right, bro, I don't like this. I can't watch this. It's making me feel like physically sick. It was so disturbing. Let's watch some nice David Attenborough, some Blue Planet. Put on Blue Planet. Me and Alex were just sat there on a sofa watching it, chilling, and these feelings of like dread started to come back, or this anxiety from what had been triggered earlier by what had been said. I just couldn't focus on the screen. It felt weird because I still had no perception of time. I still couldn't tell 10 minutes from 10 hours. So roll over, go into a ball on the sofa, and then next thing I know, everything's blurry. I can't focus on anything. I had no idea where I was, I had no idea who I was, and basically I'd become completely unconscious. Alex said he was just watching TV on the sofa, and he just heard me going, ugh, like groaning and like gritting my teeth. And then he looked at me, and then I was like completely unresponsive. In my eyes, like I don't remember any of this. I just remember coming to somewhere in some room with like everything blurry. I couldn't focus on anything, no idea of who I was, no idea where I was, no idea on anything. Like I didn't know I was alive, I didn't know whether I was dead. All I fucking knew was that something was very, 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 very wrong with me. Like it was horrible. Alex was stood above me freaking out, like shaking me, trying to wake me up, and he's like, bro, are you okay? Are you okay? I come round, he's on the phone to someone like, dude, Mo just had a seizure or passed out or some shit. I think he's dying, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, Mo, are you okay? Mo, are you okay? And I just couldn't speak. I've been in a motorbike crash before, and it felt exactly the same as the time that I had a concussion, I was knocked unconscious, I had a pretty bad motorbike accident, and I woke up strapped down in the back of an ambulance. It reminded me of the time of when I was coming to that, like people, I think I might have had a flashback to that as well, like people working on me, like paramedics being all around me, like doing things to me, stabbing things in my arm and coming round and just being strapped down and looking at a bright light, having no fucking idea where I was. Anyway, I was lying there. He was like, Mo, are you okay? Are you okay? My skin was grey. I was completely white. I'd sweated through my jeans. I'd sweated through my t-shirt. I was soaked in sweat. And I was lying there, slumped on the sofa, unable to move. And it felt like, do you know in Harry Potter, when the Dementor sucks all the life out of people, they like suck their fucking souls out. It literally felt like something had just sucked all the energy out of me. And I was lying there like that, unable to move, no idea what was going on. I could hear Alex speaking to me, and it sounds like really cliche again, but like this like faint speaking to me, like I was present, I was there, but I just couldn't move and I couldn't answer and I couldn't speak. I knew that I had very low blood pressure, I knew that I'd passed out, I knew that I was unconscious. I just kind of know how that feels. So I basically like swung myself onto the floor and then managed to get my legs up on the sofa to increase my blood pressure so you have more blood going to the brain. And then I just lay there, put myself in the recovery position in case I had a seizure and threw up in my own mouth or something, and then just lay there like that. But I like was dragging myself along the floor, man. Had absolutely no energy. Alex comes back in and he's like freaking out. He's like, bro, you look fucking terrible. And he starts saying things like, what happens if you've taken poisonous mushrooms? You picked them. What happens if we're gonna die? Like, dude, I'm gonna phone an ambulance. Should I phone an ambulance? But they're drugs, so are we gonna get arrested and go to prison? Like, I don't know what to fucking do. He was literally fucking freaking out. And I was just lying there and like I'd accepted like I was dead. I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking die. This is it. This is the end of my life. And it's weird, man. It's freaking weird because I wasn't scared. Obviously, I didn't want to die. But like, again, like another cliche, it's so peaceful. This is what I imagine bleeding to death to be like. I was just lying there and I just felt fucking so exhausted, like the most tired I've ever felt in my life. I just wanted to go to sleep. I was just lying there and I was like closing my eyes and I felt like my blinks getting longer and longer and longer. And it was quite relaxing. Like it was really quite peaceful. When I came around from being unconscious, although I was absolutely petrified, I had no idea where I was, who I was, it felt good. Like, although I had this feeling of dread and this feeling of like I'm gonna die, and knew I was dying, I had this like, it just felt incredible as well at the same time. And it was the same thing that I felt when John Jones choked me out. And when I came around, I had this like massive like wave of euphoria. I guess it's where your brain releases all these like chemicals and neurotransmitters if it thinks you're gonna die or something. But I felt like really, really good when I sat there. And I was just lying there in silence, unable to move, and it's pretty peaceful. And I was like, all right, obviously I don't want to die. I'm gonna try not to die. This is it, kind of thing. But I was like, man, like this is relaxing. This is really nice, and that's fucking scary, mate. I like I said, I didn't want to die, but I just kind of had like no will to like get up or anything. Tom got back after about half an hour, and I think a lot of colour came back to me by then, and he was like, dude, like you're gonna be fine, man, you don't need to go to the hospital. And that kind of like reassured me, because Alex telling me I was gonna die was not a good, I felt like I was gonna die, you know. It was like someone had shot me through the chest and my life was fading before my eyes in front of me. At about 9 o'clock, 6 hours after taking the magic mushrooms, I was able to walk around a little bit again. Things are still very weird, like it's really odd. The whole house like looked different. It looked like really, really clean and everything looked new. I can't really describe it. It's really odd. And I still like things spatially is a little bit off. Like I couldn't have driven a car or operated any heavy machinery, but I was feeling like a lot better. I felt like I'd been trapped like that for eternity, basically. I felt like I'd been absolutely insane, unable to speak, unable to perceive the world. It was like hell, mate. There was no perception of time. It could have been, even though it was only a few hours, it felt like days. It felt like fucking days. But anyway, after about 6 hours, went for a massive walk, started to feel a lot better, and then on the way back we decided to stop off and go to a bar, sat with some random girls, 3 of them turned out to be lesbians, and then just had like the best fucking conversation with them for the next 2 hours. They're like, yeah, we've just done, we've just currently almost died from magic mushrooms, how was your day, kind of thing. And they were like, oh, is that some really shit pickup line? Woke up the next day, and quite frankly, I felt great. Like, I felt absolutely incredible. I don't know, quiet, like it was a lot to handle, but I just had like this really good perception or view on the world, or view of things. I've never suffered with anxiety, and I've never really understood it until the last few months, where I've just had like this anxiety building up and up and up and up and up and up to the point where like it overwhelms me, and I just sit in a room just doing like, I don't know, just being like overcome with like stress and anxiety. And it was getting to a point where it was like really, it was affecting my work. Since taking it, all that has gone. I feel like I'm in a far better headspace. Like I don't really get annoyed about things. I don't snap. I don't really have much of a temper. Like, I'm pretty good at not having a temper anyway, but I get to a point where if I'm pushed, I like fucking lose my shit. And I had like a little meltdown recently where I broke a keyboard in half. I fucking snapped it in a fit of rage over the most stupid shit. Not being able to do a backflip on a trampoline because I'm such a perfectionist, and if I can't do something, it will like eat me up inside. But yeah, I feel like a much better person after that, and it feels like, it's weird, but it feels like it's addressed a lot of issues that I didn't know were there. But take homes from that are, don't do it if there's only two of you. Make sure there's someone sober there, I would say. I can't say I will do them again anytime soon, if ever again, but you should try everything once, and I feel like ultimately it has benefited me, and I see things a lot better, and I'm less anxious. You can always do more, but you can't do less. I think we took a lot of magic mushrooms, and although it says online things like, I'll take this amount, it's not always correct. So different species will have different genetic characteristics. There will be a magic mushroom in America that's a completely different species to the magic mushroom in England, for example, and there are countless, loads of different species of mushrooms that produce psilocybin, this compound that does this shit to your brain. Just because they produce the same compound doesn't mean they produce it in the same amount. So by saying, oh, magic mushrooms, and painting them under this broad spectrum, saying you should take this much, is probably a pretty fucking bad idea, mate. That was our magic mushroom experience, and like I said, I'm not going to become some weird crackhead. There's some guy that I used to follow, and I found a video of him the other day, and he had become like a psychedelic YouTuber with like blue hair. Oh, you'll probably know him, and I was just like, bro, what the fuck has happened to you? I just want to share that experience because it was crazy and mental. And I'm so fucking enlightened now, dude. Fuck, dude. Fuck.